Hello, welcome to another episode of Houston Art Tribe. I am Kay Sarver, and I am here today with Damon Thomas. I'm very happy to be here with you, by the way.
I'm happy to be here too, Kay.
We're actually at the Young Center. Damon has a show here, which we will talk about shortly. But of course, he has a studio by the nature of the work you do that's not air conditioned. So we thought this would be a good idea. And I wanted to talk about, when I first met you and saw your work, and I think it was Art Chatter. It was the Art
absolutely,
Critique Group,
yes.
And I just remember being impressed because at that time you were using some sort of pitted finish on
the
pieces.
crater glaze.
The crater glaze. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Well, I guess I kind of go through phases of, and I've only got one piece of the show at the Young Center with that.
Oh, yeah.
But I go, I like that glaze because I've just moved toward covering my surfaces with one, like this, just a single glaze that unifies and brings it all together. And for a while I liked that glaze because it was just very organic and natural and rough and not fussy and matte, which is important to me because I don't like shiny. But after I work with something for year or two, I'm kind of ready to move on and experiment with something else.
That makes sense. It does. That sort of brings me to what got you into ceramics in the first place? Did you start out, or were you starting out with another media as an artist?
No, this is, I am like 10 or 11 years late in writing a long overdue thank you letter because I never imagined myself as an artist. I've always been a writer. But mostly for commercial purposes. That's my day job. But about 10 years ago, I was in New Harmony, Indiana, which is like a magical little town next to Evansville, Indiana. It's right where my parents' hometown is.
Oh, really?
But I never knew it was there until much later in my adult life.
Yeah.
But it's a former utopian colony that was founded like in the 1890s or something. And it's like a tiny little magical town, well preserved. It's full of art and installations. And I think one of the Blaffers from Houston has spent millions of dollars refurbishing it and preserving it because apparently there's a connection. But anyway, I was there visiting my sister years ago, and I saw this big outdoor ceramic installation of these large columns that were like 7 or 8 feet tall, and the artist was Fleming. And to this day, and that just lit something inside of me. And within a year or two, I was taking classes at Glassell. But I need to reach out to Carol and tell her what her art meant to me, because I think that I'm remiss not to do that, because I think that we all owe that to each other to share how the impact that our work has had on each other. So note to self, I need to do that. But that just, just especially just seeing that the large scale outdoor installation, because I've never been, I love functional work, like the ceramic plates and, and I have a lot of it. And I love it and I respect it, but I've never had the desire to make that. I've always wanted to make sculpture, so.
Oh, I'm really glad that you did, because it's just taken you in such a fabulous direction. But I remember being impressed too with something, and I don't remember when this was, but it was your little guy with the striped shirt and the boots. Oh yeah, that's kind of like an iconic figure that recurs in my work. And if you, I know you'll go back and add in some footage, and the little guy out there homesick is kind of a version of, obviously he doesn't have the boots and the stripes, but he's from that same. I do have a mold. I sometimes mold. Once in a while I'll use a mold, and he's from a mold partially. But he's that recurring little kind of autobiographical figure of a little, guy who's, trying to figure things out. And I love that.
Pretty much myself. So.
That's it. I heard someone say that an artist really succeeds when they become vulnerable in the way that, through their work. And that, I think you allow yourself to do that.
Well, that's what, Brene Brown says, the secret to everything is being vulnerable. And it is kind of like, opening the kimono a little bit.
Yes.
And, these guys, I mean, like with the totem I have outside, 7 generations, and everybody's saying, thank you. That's on view they want me to keep it here through the end of October, so.
Oh, very nice, yeah.
But this show comes down at the end of September.
Okay, that's good to know, yeah.
But everybody at the opening is saying, "Oh, these bowls look like you," or I guess somewhat. I think the octopus looks a lot like my father.
Oh, interesting.
Which I guess we kind of do look alike a little bit.
Yeah.
Although more people say I look more like my mother. But
okay.
Anyway, I think from what I've observed, all figurative sculptors, their work does look a little bit like themselves.
Oh, I agree.
Or they have a certain, like Deborah Fritz, who I love, her, she always, 90% of the time does female figures, and there's a certain, recurring character. There's variations, but you can look at it and say, oh, that's a Deborah Fritz.
Yeah, and that's true of painters too. I've seen, people doing figurative work, and you often see their face in the faces.
Yeah.
They don't do it on purpose. It just
it's their style. Yeah, because I've never wanted to do portraiture. I just, do just work from imagination.
I love that. I love too that you. Well, we might as well just talk about this show because
it's here.
It's really good, and it's here.
Thank you.
And this is a show with Ellen Ray, and it's called Ancestors.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah, the whole show is called Ancestors, and it was like on January 2nd of 2017, almost 2 years ago, that I went into, and I didn't realize it was January 2nd, so I guess we did get off to an early start that year, but I went into Ellen's studio and said, hey, you want to make a joint proposal to the Young Center, because I knew this is such a big, beautiful space, especially with the side galleries, that I could never fill it on my own, or it would have taken me a long time. And it also has this beautiful wall space, so I think this is one of those spaces where 2D and 3D work really complements each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we kind of, our work has always kind of spoken to each other, and there's a number of cases, like especially, if you can get a shot of this guy in back of her painting called We.
Yes.
That's when we move it back out to the gallery. That's one of our favorite, photographic moments, Instagram moments.
And you knew you had a.
Well, Ellen is the one who realized that. And it was just placed there, accidentally.
Well, she's a delight, and
she is.
I came to your talk, this past week.
You should talk to her.
I know. I definitely have that in my head for sure. But your work so complements each other, and oddly, because it's such different media, but hearing you all talk about it, and I think it was Anna
Tahinchi with the LaSalle,
she
wonderful person, art historian.
She pulled things out of the two of you.
She does.
She's excellent at that, but that makes sense.
Her grasp of art history is just, unrivaled.
And being a teacher.
Passion.
She's great. But it was probably one of the best artist talks I've ever seen because of that. Because she was able to, ask you poignant questions that sometimes when an artist is rattling on about their work, they may not be thinking, I wish I
especially, ceramic artists, if I can criticize my own tribe, is we get bogged down in process and technique, so I'm glad none of that came up.
Well, you need to look up Jerry Saltz. He did a video in front of a crowd of mostly ceramicists. And it's hilarious when he gets into, what you people are like,
I'd love to look that up because it's so true. I mean, last year we had an art talk. I was in a group show at Red and White Gallery in Fayetteville, and it just very quickly got bogged down into, how do you fire this? Right? I mean, it's like, I really could care less. I just care about the finished piece.
I know, and he was sort of tongue-in-cheek. He was just sort of playing around, and like you people play with mud and earth, and you were the ones as children that were all it's just funny. Anyway,
and one piece in the show, the brown piece called Pillow, is actually not even glazed. That's paint that's on it.
That's interesting too.
Ceramic purists who would be aghast at that.
I know, but I love that you experiment like that. And I have seen some other ceramicists playing with paint.
Yeah, there's some that use, like Tip Tolland, an incredible figurative ceramicist, uses crushed pastels that she just smears onto her painting. So there's
Now, are you know, some of these firings, I know you use this blue glaze. What pulls that out of you? Why?
Well, especially for this show, the glaze that you'll see on most of the pieces it's black. It's a black glaze on the bottom, first coat, and then on top of it, blue. It's called bright sky blue, and it just melts together to create a wonderful, organic, non-uniform finish that I just love. And it's actually the first glaze, one of the first glazes I learned, or glaze combos from my first teacher, Craig Clark, who's an incredible, mostly a potter, mostly raku, but and I hadn't used that in 10 years, and for this show, I kind of came back to it. So it's kind of like coming full circle.
I love that. I was really pleased to see it.
And especially for the octopus, because it almost looks like it was just came out of the water, and it's kind of shiny. And
it really does.
And I wanted that either, because a lot of my works in this body of work have to do with the sea and boats and ocean, and so I wanted that to speak of that, that maritime blue of discovery, maritime or celestial. They're both kind of
that's
that
what
blue.
I was going to say. Also, just not so much physical, but ethereal.
That's a good word.
Blue, very sort of spiritual sort of color that comes up often for otherworldly things, if that makes sense. I know you've had some Jungian background, which I thought was fascinating.
Yeah, well, I guess I don't know if I call it a patient, or I was in therapy for a few years, voluntarily. Yeah,
we can all use that.
And but I think the Jungian ideas of analyzing your dreams and the collective unconscious and archetypes, that really resonated with me, and I've done a lot of self-reading and self-discovery on my own, since then, and pieces, like 7 Generations Outside, or Ever, which is the piece of the 5 figures on the wheel, to make the separates or the multiples, and then to go back and put them together and combine them with or without a found object.
Oh, that's the thing that's exciting too, is that you put these found objects with some of your pieces, or include them. It's like one massive piece, and I love that you do that.
Well, thank you. I think that's, maybe if everybody has like a little niche in the art ecosystem, maybe combining clay with found objects is my niche, and not every one of my pieces has a found object, like obviously these don't. But I would say, I guess more than half of them in this show do, and it's a fairly small show for me with about 12 works, and I think Ellen has about the same, because we wanted to keep things very kind of spare and airy in the gallery. But sometimes, like with the piece wheel, the piece Ever, that's the wheel on its side, I've had that wheel for almost 10 years.
I remember.
Before I finally.
You talking about wanting to use it before you did.
And part of that was my lack of welding skills, but I finally just decided, I can't do everything, at this point in life, I still work full time.
Yes.
I just have to focus on what I do best, which is clay, and then just, when I need something welded, call in the experts.
I think that's brilliant.
A great welder, Jeremy Salas, who's helped me with a few pieces. And, so some pieces I'll have the found object for years, 10 years. A sea with the unconscious, the octopus with the boat. I found, not the boat, but the boat, but the flat cast iron piece. That's fairly recent. I found that this summer, and sometimes if I see a found object that resonates or speaks to me, I just grab it, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I just know I have to have it.
There's something interesting about it.
And so then a few months later, the piece with the octopus came to me, and I kind of built the octopus around, knowing that I wanted to nest the ship up in its tentacles. So I had to plan a little bit for that too.
That's effective, though. I would think that would be a tough piece to fire.
Even more, it's so fragile, the tentacles, but even to get it into the kiln is.
I would think,
But thanks to the miracle of paper clay, which is a little bit stronger than regular clay. It's clay that has paper mixed into it, so it's a little stronger than regular clay, but it's not foolproof. You still have to be extremely careful.
Wow. Yeah. I would think. It reminds me when you were talking about found objects too, that you did a show I think earlier this year. It was like an old bed or something.
Oh yeah, gosh, Kate, that's been almost 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh,
time flies. Yeah, but thank you for remembering. Yeah, that wasn't a Silos. That was a group show called Fired Up.
Okay.
And yeah, I found that old. Again, I was at a junkyard over near the old Ninfas on Navigation.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that area is gentrifying so much that this junkyard isn't there anymore. But I found this.
Gosh.
It was an old rusty metal pallet, but to me it looked like a mattress.
It did. Oh yeah. Okay. So it really wasn't a mattress.
No, but it looked like a mattress.
It did.
And at the time I had this show in mind, and I thought, well, a bed, sleeping, dreaming. This will be part of my show at the Young Center, and it ended up being somewhere else. But yeah, that was ended up being a piece called Dreamscape with all those little floating figures, and that it was very much something.
Strong.
Thank you. That's something I love doing.
Well, I love that you do it, and of course there's multiple pieces in this show that you do combine. Something found, I see, and I don't know. You've done numerous shows in the past few years. Clearly, time just goes way faster than it should.
It does, but for me, this is like. And Ellen said too, this being here at the Young Center was the biggest thing she's done, and she's done a lot of things. But it's the biggest thing I've ever done, and it's an honor to be here in the Museum District. It's an honor to be at the Young Center.
Absolutely.
I think I said at the Artist Talk, like Alyssa, who manages the bookstore, because I had to put. And they usually discourage nails in the wall here because they have this beautiful wallpaper. Yeah. And they have a different show every month, so you can only imagine the damage. But I really, really had to put a nail in the wall to get my ore piece ancestors to hang properly. And I asked Alyssa, I said, "Can I please? I'm so sorry. Can I please put a nail?" And she's like, "Oh, sure, go ahead. It's self-healing wallpaper."
Self-healing.
And that just really. For me, that was just wonderful because it's like, God, this is such a healing place. Where the healers and the healees all come, for wisdom. And the fact that the wallpaper is self-healing, that's a beautiful metaphor.
That is great. Well, I'm glad they let you do that. And,
me too.
It's strong. I know I have a piece of yours that I love. I love this series where you were doing also the crows or birds and people. And I think that piece was Crow Chakras.
Which there's a related piece in this show called Chakras and Armor.
Oh yes.
I'm really sorry I can't remember the name of my own piece. I don't remember if it's Armor and Chakras or Chakras and Armor, but maybe Chakras and Armor.
It's a good sign that means you're doing a lot of work too.
Well, again, I found that object, I don't know what it was. It's that red, it looks like a brace, and to me it looked like a hanger. Once you see it by itself, it looked like a hanger or a torso, and that spoke to me of a torso, and it was so strong and industrial, and I wanted to, that piece is about, it has the since it's not a full figure, it only had the room for the fourth, the third eye, the throat, the heart, and you'll have to help me, maybe the solar plexus.
A solar plexus,
And so
the seat or the
there's 7.
For you professionals out there, don't laugh too hard.
But I think the third eye and the throat being the most meaningful too. Well, the heart, all of them. But on this piece, I made this armored figure because it's like we all put on armor. We have to, when we reach a certain age, or the world will just, all the, injustices and the buffets of the world just. We have to protect ourselves. But at the same time, we have to stay open, or we become closed off or brittle, and so that piece is very much about you have to. It's kind of like the in Jungian theory too. The mask or the ego. Is is the provisional personality that we all wear. For society. but then the self with a capital S. And this piece, by the way, is called Self with a capital S.
Okay.
It's not a self-portrait, but it's supposed to be the self of any person, self capital S, looking at itself.
That's good, yeah.
But back to, armor and chakras and armor.
Yeah.
We put on our armor and our mask, but yet we also are called upon, if we truly want to, be our true selves, to open up, let ourselves be vulnerable, coming back to that beautiful word you mentioned at the beginning. We have to, keep ourselves open. So.
Yeah, we do, especially as artists. I mean, all humans, but if you want to tap into that, you really want to
that flow,
expose the
collective
tender side.
unconscious.
It's hard. I know one thing I wanted to bring up was, a few years back I visited your studio, and you were showing me the process of, you were using like a garbage can sort of pit.
Oh, the pit firing.
Pit firing, which was so interesting, and just. Or do you still do pit firing, or do you?
I do. I don't have any in this show, but it's something that I love just because of the organic nature of it, and it's it's very easy. And I mean, sometimes you want easy because I fight a lot with glaze. I mean, these guys I fired 3 times before I got it just right, and and I'm my own worst critic. I mean, I probably would. I may yet fire them again.
I think it's one of the hardest things about glazes is it's a chemistry. You have to know what you're doing.
Well, and high fire glazes, this is mid-fire, but they move and melt, and you don't know exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah.
The studio, like right now, I'm making a series of little hearts, fairly anatomically realistic hearts,
nice.
but with my typical little take on them. I'm also making them figurative, I'm making a heart with an ear. Because the heart listens.
That reminds me of, they were like, do I say this right? Was it talismans or something?
Yeah, the hands. I did the series of hands with the little symbols on them. But now I'm doing the heart, and I'm doing a heart with an eye.
Oh, love it.
And an ear and a mouth, because the heart speaks and listens and hears. I'm not doing one with a nose. I don't know if the heart smells, but the nose just didn't appeal to me. If somebody wants one, I'll make one. And so those I'm planning on pit firing because it just, I don't know, I just kind of get an idea that would go perfect with that.
Good. There's something very ancient about that practice.
There is.
So
just
it's kind
very
of exciting, I think.
Just you and the elements. The element of fire. I grew up in that area. I grew up in the East End.
Oh, that's cool.
And and I from time to time go back. Because it just it has a pull on me. Both melancholy pull and but also a nostalgic pull. And I just I could never, even though it's incredible that it's gentrifying, I never thought if I lived to be 100 or 200 I would see that area gentrify.
And that's something.
But there's townhomes, there's a wine bar, there's a millennial pub opening, just blocks from where I've had my first job on Canal Street at a hamburger stand. But it's it has an industrial past. So it's a great place to find old rusty objects. But to get back to that object, I have no idea what it is. I think if I had to guess, I would say it's some kind of a hitch. Like to hitch a trailer to a train car or a trailer. But it has that shape, and to me it just kind of looked like a resting place. And so that's what kind of gave me the idea for the 3 stacked heads.
It's really strong.
Oh, thank you. And on that one, it's just the paint, and I wanted to let the red clay on the bottom shine, show through. Because when I first started in ceramics, I've been doing this for about 10 years. I was like a sponge. I was hungry for information. I would take 3-4 workshops a year. And I've really tapered off. I'll maybe take one a year at most, just to kind of keep new ideas flowing, learn new things, because I never want to stop learning. But this workshop, this was in New York State, and I overheard this lady in the next room just talking like, well, there's this, Buddhist idea that, and I love to get ideas from everywhere.
Yeah.
That, if you heal yourself or come to consciousness in this lifetime, that you'll heal 7 generations in the past and 7 generations into the future.
Interesting.
And I just was fascinated by that because I've had to do a lot of work on my own healing.
Oh, yeah.
I can understand the future. It's easy to understand because if you heal yourself, then you don't pass on that generational trauma or baggage to your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And, and also, but I guess it takes a little bit more of a stretch of an imagination to say, well, you can go back and heal the past because the past is past. But I love that, idea of magic.
Too.
And I think it's true because if you heal something, if you heal something from the past and it no longer has that present over you, has that power or presence over you, and therefore you won't pass it on to the future.
I think that's what that means. It can only be that because you carry around more than we know from our ancestors.
Well, who was it? Was it Faulkner that said the past isn't dead? It's not even the past, or something like that.
Yeah.
I mangle it, but it's that the past isn't the past. It's not even dead. It's still with us. So that's the idea.
And you're really channeling also. When I said the Native American thing, I mean there were some of the tribes that believed that you needed to think 7 generations down the road with what you're doing now, your footprint.
Yeah,
now.
oh God, if we could only do that as a
if
society.
We could only do that.
And we need to do that as of yesterday, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that is.
But yes, that's so true.
Yeah.
But yes, that's why on 7 generations there's 13 heads.
Yeah.
But the center head counts twice because it's like a double head.
It's like where you are now.
But it also has, the composition of it goes to the 7 heads on top of the future and the 7 heads below with the past and the big head in the middle. The double head is the past, present, and future. I never like to get too analytical about my pieces, but that's kind of where that totem came from.
Yeah.
And I was so honored to, and this is a lesson for all artists, is that, we need to not be shy about asking, because I know that in the past, it's been many years, but in the past, the Young Center has had a sculpture outside, and I just said, well, let me ask if I can do this. Let's put a sculpture up front, because it's just, they have this beautiful little long ride of the museums.
I'm so glad you did.
So, and they've been so wonderful here, and they, had to, check for permission, but they let me do it, and they even wanted me to keep it here, not just for the show in September, but to keep it up through October, which is an honor, because it's such a beautiful space here in the museum district. And,
it really
and it calls attention to what's inside.
It's great.
So always ask for what you want.
See, that's if nothing else you get out of this. That's huge.
So that's 7 generations.
Very cool. I love that. It's a strong show, and I'm glad that Ellen and you put this together. And
but the 7 generations will be out here through the end of October.
That's great.
And I'll be on the Clay Houston Bayou City Clay Crawl the first Sunday of December. I believe it's September 8th. No, December 8th. The first Sunday of December.
Okay.
It's like I think there's 13 studios. It's like a tour of ceramic artist studios. And there's about almost 50 artists in all participating. So that's a great chance to get out and discover some art in December.
Clay Crawl.
Bayou City Clay Crawl.
Bayou City Clay Crawl.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of something else you did, and I wasn't aware it was one of your pieces, and it's the Heights Boulevard.
That is, I think it's through either the end of December or mid-December. My piece, I'm so honored to be part of that as well.
Oh my gosh,
that's like the 6th annual version of that was started by Gus Capriva. And
I love that.
And there's so many incredible people that make it
happen. And
Jeff
John Runnels.
This year.
This year,
it's up through December. My piece is called Home Fire, but the overall installation from Heights all the way from I-10 on the south to 20th Street on the north, it's called True North.
True North. Okay. Yeah. But Home Fire. But all of them are worth seeing. But
absolutely.
I love that one.
There's some, and thank you, incredible pieces in every year, but especially this year.
Yeah. Is that all ceramic, or is it?
No, Jeff and I are giving an art talk on October 5th. And everyone's invited.
Okay.
I think it starts at 10 a.m. But in 6 years, we are the first 2 artists who've had ceramic pieces out there because they've had everything wood, metal, bronze. But we're the first 2 ceramic pieces. So
very good. Where's the talk going to be?
It's gonna start at my piece, Home Fire, at 10th and Heights.
Oh, so right at the piece.
Across from Sarah's Bed and Breakfast, and then we'll caravan down to Jeff's piece is at 19th and Heights. So.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Oh, great, awesome.
I'm pretty sure I'll be there. You never know, but pending weather. And,
well, pending weather, we may have to change again. But
yeah. Is there another piece in the show that you would like to talk about?
Well, apart from dreaming, the second piece that I made for the show when I knew that I was going to do it was this ore piece called Ancestors.
Yeah.
It's a found object piece. It's because one of the themes of this show is journey through either metaphorical or journey through time and space. And for me, the idea of the boat and water. I've never been a particularly avid boater, but I just love the image of the boat as
symbology of that too.
As journey, inner and outer, symbolic in the real world, the dream world.
Yes.
And the ore, of course, is how we transport ourselves with our own energy. Because an ore doesn't do anything unless you put your own effort into it.
Sure.
And we often have to use our own effort to to get us to where we want to go. In addition to the help we get from our ancestors or from the dream world or from the collective unconscious. So Ancestors to me was very much about there's faces on it. I think there's a total of 7 faces that some of them may look a little bit like children. Some of them look older, male, female. I didn't want to get too, formalized about it. But, they're all at different pieces on the ore. And to me, that was very much, trying to tell the story of ancestors and journey through time.
I keep saying this, but I love that piece.
Oh, thank you. And that's that's one of 2 pieces that on that I used paint. Instead of glaze, it's painted a lot of Payne's gray. As a painter, you will recognize, and other colors, but
I never would have known it to look at it. Honestly, which doesn't matter, but.
Well, the ceramic artists, we always, there's this thing in the ceramics world about purists. Oh,
you
know it.
Of course.
And it does take. If you're anchored, you have a foot in that world of ceramics. It takes some strength to just break out and say, I don't give a darn. I'm not going to use glaze.
Do your thing.
Whatever I want.
Whatever you want. Yeah. That's the fun part of being an artist.
It is. So,
it's true.
Ancestors. That's a very meaningful piece.
Oh my gosh, it's wonderful.
Thank you.
I really love that you come up with these things. Like you said, it's just very the journey idea. I mean, this whole thing about life. You hear the saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yes.
And, and we're always looking to the end result, and so I love that you remind us through your work.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the boat. I mean, homesick. The 2 little guys in the boat is just one of them is kind of pointed forward toward the future. It's like. Is it a known? I mean, do they know where they're going, or are they just drifting in the dark? And the other is kind of looking back, melancholy.
When we came to the opening, a friend of mine was standing there, and she goes, immediately I see the title and I see him pointing, and I think of E.T. E.T. wants to go home. And it's interesting, the pointing.
Yeah, is he pointing forward or backward?
Yeah.
Or is it, he cast, that can kind of be, casting blame or from pointing someone out. But I love to leave things very open.
It is really, I love that. And it's okay. Well, I thank you so much for letting me do this with you. I mean, really.
I've been kind of shy about it. I know you've asked me. Thank you for asking me, because I know.
Oh, listen, it's okay. I'm an artist too, and we'd rather hide, right?
Yeah, so, we're all introverts at heart.
I'm just going to go over in the corner now.
I think you know the most.
So anyway, thank you again.
Oh, thank you, Kay.
We we are signing out.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for listening and viewing, and thank you to Kay for doing that.
Well, I appreciate it. I
Not
love doing it.
just for me, but mostly for everybody who's been included and
I think it
everybody
really
who's
matters.
benefited.
It really matters. And
Part of our tribe.
I'm hoping it's helping.
I think it is helping. Absolutely.
Thanks. And thanks to the viewers, like he said. And if you like this, give it a thumbs up and do subscribe. It helps get these out there to more people, and we want that. So thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.